Greetings and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to tell you about the worst grade crossing accident that I had and how it affected the conductor and I. This is another thing that they still don't teach in the engineer school. Back on Conrail, we were operating a mixed freight train between Oak Island in Newark, New Jersey, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We were on the Lehigh line in New Jersey, and the speed limit was 50 miles per hour, and we were going 49 miles per hour. As we approached a grade crossing that was protected only by crossbucks, which is that railroad crossing sign, no crossing gates or flashing lights or bells. As we were approaching the crossing, I could see a car coming from my right, and the car was approaching the crossing, and he wasn't slowing down, and the brake lights weren't lit, and we met at the crossing. We T-boned the car, and but a split second before we did, I put the train brakes in emergency, and then everything happened in slow motion. It seemed like forever before we got stopped. When we did get stopped, the conductor, who was a personal friend of mine, he went out to assess the situation and render assistance, and I called the train dispatcher on the radio. But it was 11 p.m. and that's when the dispatchers do shift change, and they usually turned the radio down or even off because they were giving their relief an update of all the information that was of everything that was going on in their territory. And I called and I called, and the conductor came back in the engine, and he was crying. And finally the dispatcher answered, and I told him what happened, and I requested all the appropriate assistance, emergency medical, and a short time after, the emergency medical assistance arrived along with the fire department, and they started working on the car. The car's fuel tank had ruptured, and there was gasoline out on the ground, and the fumes were coming up into the locomotive cab of the engine. The fire department had the fire extinguishers at the ready as they worked on the car. A little while later, a road foreman of engines showed up, and he had a satellite phone, and he put me on a line with the train dispatcher, and the train dispatcher asked if we wanted to speak to the employee counselor over the phone, and I said we didn't because we were preoccupied at the time with everything that was going on. I did tell the train dispatcher that we wanted to be recrewed, that we couldn't continue on with the trip, and he told me that they, meaning the supervisor of train operations, said that we would be recrewed in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Now that was quite a distance away, and I resolved right then and there that I would not be moving that train, no matter what the STO said. I would walk home if I had to, but I was not moving that train. But at any rate, the emergency personnel continued working on the vehicle, and they worked on it for a long time. And then a police detective, local police detective, came into the engine, and he told us, he asked a couple of questions like how fast were we going and were we blowing the horn, which we were. We blew the horn, had the bell ringing, had the headlight displayed on bright. And he said that he was going to need us to come with him down to the to the police station and give a statement. So the train dispatcher, when he heard about this, he asked me if we wanted a Conrail attorney to meet us at the police station. And the conductor and I talked it over, and we agreed that we wanted an attorney to meet us there. So we finally were taken off the locomotive, and the road foreman of engines drove us to the police station. And this was about 4 in the morning by then. And I had to sit in the engineer's seat all that time because the fire department wanted to have me at some point back the locomotives off the car, but we never did get to that. So we got to the police station, and we met the attorney, and he interviewed us privately to find out what answers we would give to questions that he thought the detective would be asking us, sort of like a dress rehearsal, to see if we were going to say anything that might be objectionable to Conrail. And then when we were finished with him, we sat with the detective and we gave our statements. And the detective knew a lot about railroading. He asked very detailed questions about when we went on duty, what we did, what kind of brake tests did we do, how I inspected the locomotives. And he asked me my frame of mind at the time of the accident, and I asked him to elaborate, and he said that he wanted to know whether I was rested, and I said I was rested. We went on duty at 7:30, and the accident happened at 11 p.m. And then he asked if I was impaired, which I wasn't, and he asked if I was in a good frame of mind when the accident happened. And I was. I mean, I didn't expect it to happen. When we were finished there, the road foreman of engines took us back to Oak Island, and we were signing off duty, and I noticed that my voice sounded strange. It sounded like it wasn't my voice. It sounded like someone else was speaking, and almost like I was a puppet. And then on my way home, I couldn't get the accident out of my mind, and I got home, and I went out and checked the mail, took the mail out of the mailbox and put it right in the garbage can next to it without even looking at it, because I wasn't thinking properly, wasn't thinking straight. And so I requested an appointment with the employee counselor, and I met her, and she helped me deal with it. She explained the different steps of grief, and she had me describe the accident in detail, and I broke down and cried, and that's one of the steps in dealing with trauma. The next day after that interview, a road foreman of engines, a different one, one that I knew, called me at home and said that the railroad had taken the event recorder tapes off the locomotives and reviewed them. And I had done everything right. I was doing 49 miles per hour, like I said, and everything I did since Oak Island was done properly. I was blowing the horn and had the bell ringing, and everything was okay, and so I had nothing to worry about, he said. And then he said he had dropped off a copy of those tapes to the police department, the local police department. And I was really shocked. I didn't know Conrail did that. And I couldn't help but wonder what would have happened had I been doing 52 miles per hour. I'm sure the detective would have considered that speeding. I don't know whether I would have been charged with negligent manslaughter or not, because the questioning he did was a homicide investigation. Anyway, a day later, the local newspaper had an article about the accident, and it said that the occupants of the vehicle were from South America, and they had only been in this country for 2 weeks, and it was a brother and sister in their 20s. The brother was driving, and I couldn't help but think that he probably didn't know the area that he was driving in that well, and probably didn't know that there was a railroad crossing ahead. I don't know, and I don't know why he didn't hear the horn. Maybe he was distracted talking to his sister with the radio on. I don't know. But I never did hear anything more about the accident. However, the trauma stuck with me, and in fact, even though I've been retired 16 years, 2 years ago I went and saw a counselor because I was depressed, and we dredged it up, and he said that's what it was. It's still the trauma, and it can cause depression and even physical illnesses. So that's my story of the worst one, and you know, I want other engineers to know that you're not alone, and that some engineers can experience that and not have a problem with it. They can just file it away and it doesn't bother them. But to this day, if I see a motor vehicle accident, it brings it right back up. And for the non-railroaders out there, for the general public, I hope that this helps make you more aware of the presence of railroad crossings and how dangerous they can be. All right, take care and put some sand down.